So there's this guy on YouTube who's got a problem with the vegan activist Gary Yourofsky. He uploaded a video titled Gary Yourofsky Militant Vegan, and he talks about some of the problems he has with the way vegans argue. And in particular, this one interview where Gary Yourofsky seems to freak out. So we're going to go through the video and see what he has to say. Now this video is 20 minutes long, so I'm not going to be able to show all of it, but it is linked below in the description.
Okay, so here's an argument that gets a lot of people fired up. Then I just happened to stumble upon this one video. Gary Yourofsky. I can't pronounce his name. My stupid Italian accent always gets in the way. Gary Yourofsky flips out on an Israeli interviewer. Now, who is this guy? He's supposed to be a vegan activist. Recently, he gave one of his lectures in Israel. And I just say it didn't go so well because he went over there comparing the Holocaust, the Nazi Holocaust, to what's going on today as far as factory farming goes. He says that what is going on today, how the animals are treated in factory farms and so forth, is comparable to what the Nazis did to the Jews. There are some things that he speaks about that I agree with. But as far as animals for eating goes, I agree that it should be time to change the system. Yeah, factory farming is absolutely abhorrent. The way they treat animals in these slaughterhouses or these big farms where they're all grouped together, close to each other, like they close pigs in these small little cages. They can't even turn around. All this stuff that probably you're familiar with. If you're not, I'll post some links below to some videos you can watch and see what's going on. I mean, he can explain it better than I can, making his point. But, I don't have a problem with eating animals.
So right here, we see some logical inconsistency. He wants to reduce the unnecessary suffering of animals, yet he's okay with killing them. Killing animals is unnecessary suffering. We don't need animals in our diets to live, as evidenced by the thousands upon thousands of vegetarians and vegans. Every animal wants to live. There's no animal that wants to die. He has, I think, a correct premise in that he wants to stop the unnecessary suffering of animals, but he stops arbitrarily at being okay with killing animals. This is like saying you're okay with slavery, but you don't like how the slaves are beaten. So what's happening here is that he's focusing on the small problems and not really focusing on the big issue. He's thinking, what is the best way to treat animals that we're going to kill, rather than asking, should we be killing animals? Again, this is analogous to saying, what is the most ethical way of owning slaves, rather than asking the question, should we own slaves? And if you're against how animals are treated in the factory farms as far as them getting beaten and tortured and caged up, why are you okay with killing them?
Yeah, he says that we shouldn't be eating animals because we're not carnivores, or we're not even omnivores. We are herbivores because our jaw moves like this. If you're a carnivore, it's supposed to move like this, and blah, 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 blah. Classic vegan arguments. Well, you know, and also, and also he also says that, yeah, we don't need to eat animals because a long time ago we were dealing with survival and so forth, and today it's not necessary to do so. It's detrimental to our health, and no.
Although his rebuttal was very strong,
blah, 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 classic vegan arguments.
I'm going to have to go with Gary Yourofsky on this one. What he was trying to say is that thanks to modern technology and advancements in agriculture, we're able to now create food year-round without having any problems. We're able to create it on such a massive scale that we can feed all of society without having to kill an animal. Therefore, killing animals is unnecessary to survive.
I mean, you go into a vegan group and you post up your, your arguments on why according to you, eating meat is how would I say, a good thing? It's fine, no problem with it, people have been eating animals for years.
Why should we stop slavery? People have been doing it for years. Why should we stop child prostitution? People have been doing it for years. Why should we stop serial killers? People have been doing it for years.
Hell, when I was in Italy and stuff, my family used to raise pigs. A long time ago, actually, in Italy, they used to raise pigs because when they slaughtered the pig, it was a big festival because they knew they would have meat throughout the whole year to rely on. I mean, what if your veggie crop goes bad? What if you had a bad season? What if the bugs eat all your, like that? Like I had this year on my cabbages, I had a bunch of snails that messed them all up.
Yeah, what do you do if a bunch of snails eat your cabbage? It's not like you can just go to a grocery store and buy some new cabbage. It's not like people mass-produce vegetables and crops nowadays. That's just insane.
Actually, they go up to the point of calling you a murderer. That you are contributing to the suffering of animals and to the rape of animals. Yeah, excusez-moi, the rape of animals. Yeah, because he goes on saying how cows are forcibly impregnated. When they give birth, the calf is removed from the cow.
So he goes on to say that he doesn't see a problem with owning an animal as a pet and treating it nicely and taking the milk or the eggs from the animal. It's a common thing that meat eaters or people who eat eggs and dairy say. And I have one question for him. Would he be okay with being a slave so long as his slave masters treat him nicely? By this I mean, would you be okay with being considered inferior, having your personhood taken, and being treated as property so long as you were treated nicely? That means, not beaten, not put in a cage or anything like that. Would you be okay with the principles of your personhood being taken away?
A little insight on what happened during this little interview that they gave this guy, Gary Yourofsky. Excuse me if I can't pronounce his name, Yourofsky, yeah. Just to give you a little insight, I'm going to play something right here, and I'll go post the link below to the video so you can give it a watch.
I'm also going to post the link down below to the video where Gary Yourofsky freaks out, and you should definitely watch it. The first thing you'll realize is that it's an incredible amount of frankenbiting. And what that is when you splice together an interview in such a way that you leave things out. And you can tell they did a horrible job editing this interview, and it just makes Gary look like he's very angry. And I'm 100% sure that it left out parts where the interviewer antagonizes him. Because he does. Even in that video, he says something that's untrue. He says that Hitler was a vegan or vegetarian. And that's completely not true. And as someone who has journalistic integrity, he should know that he can't just go around saying things like that and antagonizing the person that he invited onto the show. So you'll realize that. And secondly, when he freaks out, it's after the interview. And he says, this guy was antagonizing him. So I think the evidence is clear that Gary Yourofsky, yes, he did freak out, but I think it was kind of justified, and he didn't do it on camera. He didn't do it during the interview. It was all after the interview. And you got to understand, he's a passionate guy. So I don't really think he did anything wrong, but you can watch the video and judge that for yourself.
You can't honestly say that you're a compassionate human being because you're a vegan and then you wish certain things upon people who do not support your views. Because then you're being a hypocrite. At least I say it, Yeah, I don't have no compassion for people that murder other people. A lot of families, they have chickens that they keep as their little pet animals. They treat them good and everything, and those chickens give them eggs. And if the people wouldn't eat the eggs, the chickens will probably eat the eggs. Yeah, this is what some guy who was telling me this the other day. He has chickens, and if they don't pick the eggs that the chicken lays, the chicken is going to end up eating the eggs.
So this goes back to what I said before about keeping animals but treating them nicely. A lot of vegans really don't like that because you're still exploiting the animal. He just said how the animal, the chicken, wants to have the egg. It wants to eat the egg. Something that it produced. I would argue that that's its property. It produced that. And so, therefore, it's wrong to take that.
And the chickens actually get kind of pissed that you're taking their eggs from them because they would like to eat them.
And it's a natural thing for chickens to want to eat their own eggs. They do it for nutrients. That's why farmers actually have to break the chicken of eating their egg.
I'm obviously going to have a bunch of vegans come in and dislike my video just out of question of principle. And there's really nothing to dislike or like here. If you agree with me, agree with me. If you don't agree with me, don't agree with me. If you need to speak about why you agree or disagree with me, do so in the comments section, because there is nothing to like or dislike. This is my own opinion.
Can't we dislike your opinion?
I believe that the system should be changed. I don't see a problem in eating meat. And trust me, I really doubt the whole world would go vegan. Even in 1,000 years or 2,000 years or whatever it may be. I doubt we will ever see 100% vegan Earth.
I agree. I don't believe that there will be a 100% vegan planet in the same way that even today there's not a 100% slavery-free planet or 100% child prostitution-free planet. But I'm glad people have been able to push those kinds of things into the obscure corners of the earth. Saying you can't be vegan because the planet will never be 100% vegan is like saying you're okay with owning slaves because there will always be slavery somewhere on the planet. It may be true, but the fact that it exists somewhere does not justify the action of you doing it. So he also attempts to make the point that in case of a nuclear war or some sort of natural disaster, vegans are going to be out hunting for squirrels and looking for animals to eat. While this isn't necessarily true, either way, the argument really doesn't help his side. The idea that you should do something now because something in the future might cause you to do it is completely illogical. Sometime in the future, there might be meteors raining down on the earth, but that doesn't mean I should go out and invest all my money in asteroid protection programs.
But don't try to put it on people like, oh, well, I went vegan and it did this for me, but you should do it not only because you'll reap my benefits of going vegan, but also because if you don't do it, you're a disgusting meat eater.
He has two last points. One, that vegans try to make people feel bad, and I think he's seeing it from the wrong perspective. It's not that we try to make people feel bad, it's that we want people to see the truth. A lot of people grow up never seeing what happens inside of a factory farm, and they look on the milk carton and it shows a cow jumping around in a happy field, and they believe that because we're very susceptible to that kind of advertising and that kind of imagery. So it's very important for people to see what actually happens, and I know this is something that he would agree with because he doesn't like what happens in the factory farms. So it's not that we're trying to make people feel bad, we're trying to expose people to what actually happens. So he ends on the note that Gary Yourofsky says that he wishes bad things on bad people. And what he means by that is he wishes people who wear fur coats should be raped in the same way that animals who died for those fur coats were raped. Now, I don't necessarily feel that way, and I don't know if most vegans feel that way, but he really just wants people to understand what the animals truly go through, because animals look different from us, so it's hard for people to empathize with them and put themselves in the place of the animals. But if they saw a human getting raped, they would immediately empathize with them. Now, this isn't to say that I agree completely with Gary Yourofsky's stance on this, but I understand where he's coming from, and there are videos about him talking like that. I'll link it in the description so you can watch it for yourself and see what he has to say directly from his mouth. The original video is also in the description, so you can go and watch that and talk to the guy who made that. If he wants to talk to me, I would totally be open to that anytime. If he wants to do a video response, if he feels that's necessary, that's fine. Thank you for watching, and please thumbs up and share it, whatever you want.
You should be vegan. You should be vegan. You should be vegan.